Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1, Every Character Ranked. Season 4 Volume 1 returned and allowed us to see all of the characters that we've been yearning to see in the 3-year gap. With so many performances involved, and some being better and earning more screen time than others, I thought I'd rank all of the main characters in the show and see who was the best and who came in short. So let's get into it. Here is Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1, Every Character Ranked. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Number 17, Jonathan. Coming in at last place on this list is Jonathan. I feel his contribution to this season was extremely minimal. His only incorporation into the overall story was his conflict about if he should be with Nancy or not. Other than that, he spent the entirety of the show chilling, and didn't add that much at all. It's a shame, but not the end of the world. Number 16, Argyle. Just like Jonathan, his contribution was minimal. However, the thing with Argyle is the fact that he had humor about him, and was almost the comic relief amongst all of the darkness that we were watching unfold. So for that reason, he ends up coming in higher than Jonathan. Number 15, Will. The character coming in 14th place is Will. It's one that saddens me, to be honest, because Will has always been so involved in the show. However, I feel this time round his contribution was the bare minimum. His story specifically involved looking for the location of Project Nina with Mike and Jonathan, and it just didn't have that much weight to it, or feel as though there was anything at stake. I don't even think he made an appearance in the final episode. I think there's definitely going to be more in store for him, but if we're looking at Volume 1 alone, the performance just fell a little short. Number 14, Mike. Mike is a character where, just like Will, he deserved a little better than what we saw. I feel the creators of the show must be keeping something close to their chest, due to the fact that their contribution is usually felt and needed in the show. Mike spent the entirety of the season aiming to find the location of 11, and that was pretty much it. Granted, he was on the other side of the country to everybody else, and away from all of the action, so he didn't really have that much to do in the main driving arc, but I think we'll definitely see more in Volume 2. Number 13, Lucas. Lucas's involvement in Season 4 Volume 1 was an interesting one. I'd say he was relatively absent for the first half, but then he made an appearance with the group later on down the line. I loved the arc of him caring for Max and looking out for her in her time of need. I thought it tied into the previous seasons well and cemented the relationship that they have. I also liked the elements of his arc where he returned to the group, despite being popular and amongst the cool kids now. He cares for his friends, and it was something that really shone through. Number 12, Brenner. Brenner is alive. It was the revelation that I feel we all kind of knew was coming. However, it did still carry the weight that it needed. We saw a slightly different side to Brenner to what we saw in Season 1. We didn't see an evil man who was only looking for personal gain, whilst disregarding the feelings of others. We saw a side to him that actually seemed as though he cared for 11 and cared about the greater good. I personally think that it's a front to lure 11 into a false sense of security, but we'll just have to see what happens in Volume 2. Number 11, Joyce. Joyce's character was one that I actually enjoyed watching a lot. I thought her screen time shared with Murray was the perfect comic relief that we needed from time to time, especially after a heavy scene in the Upside Down or the prison. You felt her want, need, and determination to get to Hopper, and she wasn't going to stop until she got there. The moment where she first laid eyes on Hopper in the prison was one which carried so much emotional weight and felt like the character's journey for this season alone was complete. Number 10, Murray. I really enjoyed Murray this season. He's a character that's grown on me more and more as the show has gone on, and I think he's exactly what this show needs. Without him, the show wouldn't have that glimpse into reality, the character that has true reactions to things, and can often look at the funny side. The scenes where he was using his karate were great, and seeing him as a character that was strong and knew how to fight was something that I didn't really expect but added another level to him. Number 9, Nancy. Nancy's involvement in this season was strong. She was far more involved than I thought she would be, but that's likely due to the fact that she was still in Hawkins and was amongst all of the chaos that was unfolding. I enjoyed seeing her play the detective early on in the season at the trailer site, then going to visit Victor, and then also seeing it tie in nicely to the final episode of the season where Vecna was informing her of all of the information about his true identity. So it'll be interesting to see her take it forward in Season 4 Volume 2. Number 8, Eddie. Eddie was a new addition to the show, and his performance definitely shone through. He was the victim in all of this, witnessing what was happening and then being accused. His laid-back mentality and almost underdog nature of the character is something that allowed us to root for him and want him to succeed. He managed to fit into the group perfectly, which was something that I thought might be difficult to achieve, but he managed to do it well. Number 7. Robin. Robin was a character that was very much loved in this season of the show, and she definitely delivered. Whilst not having a direct arc that we would follow specifically, we saw her friendship with Steve, which is something that's always great to watch, and also a friendship start to form with Nancy, which started really when they went to visit Victor Creel. Her take-no-prisoner attitude is a great contrast when compared to the rest of the characters, and makes her far more likable than many others that we get introduced to. Number 6. Steve. Steve, as per usual, was a character that was great to watch on screen. We saw him get way more screen time than usual, and I feel he deserved it. He carried a lot of this season and was the first one to go into the Upside Down. His relationship with Dustin and his role as the babysitter was something that was tapped into a lot in the show, and it was always funny when it was. Steve came across as the most caring character of them all, and would quite literally do anything for them. I feel the blossoming relationship with Nancy is something that I could quite literally do without, as it just kind of sits there lingering in all of the scenes, but I won't take that away from the character. Number 5. Dustin. Dustin is probably the most wholesome character out of the group. He's like a mini Steve. He's for the group and cares about each of them equally and will do anything for them. He's always a main factor in driving the plot forward, and his comedic timing, friendly nature, willingness to fight, and bravery is something that always shines through. Gayton does a fantastic job at playing this character, and has really allowed him to be one of the standout performers in the show. Number 4. Hopper. Jim Hopper is a character that is the father figure of the show, and even from beyond the walls of a prison, he still managed to succeed in delivering that role in this season. We got some really great moments from this character in Volume 1, such as seeing him survive all of the suffering, breaking out of the prison, breaking down when talking about his daughter, fighting a Demogorgon, and then laying his eyes on Joyce for the first time. We got a sense of light in a moment of darkness. David Harbour is Jim Hopper, and he didn't disappoint this season at all. We saw a completely different side to the character, a far tougher exterior with a softer interior, and the balance worked perfectly. Number 3. Vecna and Number 1. The top 3. Coming in at number 3 is Vecna and Number 1. Throughout the entirety of the show, Vecna was a menacing, fearful character that would quite literally put you into a living nightmare. His tone of voice, visual appearance, and sheer powers that he had were terrifying, and you could really sense that with the delivery across the screen. I feel we've not even seen the full weight of his powers, but I imagine in Volume 2 we'll see a far more powerful version. When he was number 1, I thought that performance was even stronger. We saw him as this kind-hearted, caring guard, but then in the final episode we saw him switch into this evil person with cruel intentions. The facial expressions and performance by Jamie Campbell-Bower was phenomenal, and one of the show's greatest. Number 2. 11. Coming in second place on this list and narrowly missing out on the top spot is 11. I thought Millie Bobby Brown did a phenomenal job as 11 this season. From the scenes where she was being bullied with the sheer emotion that she had to give, to the final battle of the season where we saw her channel all of her powers and defeat Number 1. It was a performance that left nothing when it came to the execution. We probably got the most screen time with her, which leaves a lot of responsibility in her hands to deliver a standout performance, and she definitely did. One of her best for certain. We saw a side to the character which contained the arc of redemption, and wanting to get her powers back, whilst in an emotional state that she'd never felt before. The loss of Hopper, her confusion around Mike, and the bullying that she's experiencing. Seeing her get her powers back was a moment of pure joy, and I can't wait to see her use them in the next volume. Number 1. Max. Coming in at number 1 on this list is Max. She far outperformed herself this season when compared to the previous ones. I'd say she holds one of the best performed scenes in the entirety of the show, which was at the end of episode 4 where she was running to escape from Vecna, and you could feel the sheer weight of emotions that were going through her head. Her facial expressions, her tone of voice when she was free, and the fear you could see in her eyes. Never have we seen a scene so well executed in Stranger Things. Even prior to that, when she was first in the nightmare state, When she laid eyes on Billy, it was heartbreaking. This season, we followed Max on a journey of a nightmare, and Sadie expressed the fear, heartbreak, loss, and guilt that the character was feeling on her sleeve, and allowed not only Vecna to get a glimpse inside of her mind, but us as the audience too. So, there you have it, the ranking of the main characters in Stranger Things Season 4 Volume 1. Who do you think was the best? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.